Transition Radio TV brought to you by thebreastformstore.com. They have everything you could possibly need for your cross-dressing and transgender needs. Visit their website at www.thebreastformstore.com and tell them Transition Radio sent you.
The following ingredients include a look behind the scenes. Cook uncovered until hot. Add grooves to taste.
I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Once upon a time, there was a little girl.
The accident was over a year ago. A second woman has been elected president. A 12th planet has been named in the solar system. The last wild polar bear has died. I slept through it all. I was here for my waking. He called it a beginning. He said it was good. I think he may have thought that anything I did was good.
Welcome to Transition Radio, live from Milton Manors, Florida. With your host, Mark Angelo Cummings.
And your hostess, Jessica Latham.
It's the love that saves me. I don't ever get tired of listening to that song. Welcome, guys, to Transition Radio TV. Thank you for joining us yet again on Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
Hope you guys are staying warm. I know the weather's crazy all over the world, and especially up north parts of the United States.
Here in Florida, we're freezing.
Yeah, well, we're not used to that kind of stuff. But enough about the weather, enough about all the other stuff. Tonight we have Eli Conley, an amazing guest who is from the Bay Area. He's a singer-songwriter with a voice that shifts deftly from country choir boy to soulful croon at the turn of a phrase. Steeped in America music and the singer-songwriter tradition, he crafts modern-day folk songs for misfits from the raw material of his life as a gay transgender man with Virginia roots.
With At the Seams, Eli Conley embarked on his first studio recording in a project completely funded by his devoted fans, released September 28, 2013. Propelled by an impressive 141% funded Indiegogo campaign, Eli recorded at MTC Studios in Seattle with producer Michael Connolly. Michael has also produced an album for Thailand of Girly Man, played by the Indigo Girls, and toured nationally as a member of Sultry Roots trio Coyote Grace.
The song on the At the Seams span a wide range of themes, easily flowing between the personal and political and dancing artfully between genres. Call You Out featured instantly catchy rhythms, and it's about a secret crush. Dry as Sin is a classic political folk ballad drawn from the mountain coal mines of Virginia, where Eli finds his roots. The songs inhabit familiar ground, inviting comparisons to Steve Earle, Elliott Smith, Patty Griffin, and Ray LaMontagne, or something like that, but never dwell in one place for too long.
Eli has a classically trained voice that spans 3 octaves, and he makes frequent use of his falsetto. His voice is stunning in its agility and ability to get deep inside an emotion. It's also notable for another reason. As a transgender man, Eli spent several years retraining himself how to sing after losing his formerly soprano voice to the changes brought about by taking testosterone.
Many transgender men find it challenging to continue to sing through the vocal changes this hormone causes. Today, Eli works as a voice teacher, teaching singing to people ranging from complete beginners to accomplished performers. He particularly enjoys coaching transgender students through the vocal changes he himself once negotiated.
Rise in the early morning and watch the ocean in the sun. Daybreak, the sailors yawning, they're not expecting anyone. I know the days of storms are yet to be, but the blue horizon never stays with me. I got fever in my bones and blood between my teeth. For every ship that goes down in this plastic coral reef, their souls are bundled up with mine. I know it's just a matter of time till I cut this line. At first it was so easy to while away the days and nights, weaving my seaweed purses, braving those endless seagull fights. I found that as the days grow long, I tire of singing siren songs, that I need to get on board the ship, sail away, drink whiskey, wear a red dress and paint my face. Had enough of salt and sand, I'll give Poseidon the upper hand. I'm gonna join a band. How many oceans must I cross to find the end of this? Hey, what's the use of song if each man dies upon my kiss? Is love a myth that is there now its usefulness? So now I sing a new song, sling my guitar around me tight, boys all sing along. My words have lost their deadly bite, but listen to that bass line creep. My music can still make them weep. I got marrow in my bones, blood right in my veins, till every man who is my song may rue his mother's name. Their souls are bundled up with mine. I know it's just a matter of time till I cut this line, yeah, till I cut this line.
And now welcome to our show, the talented Eli Conley. Hey, Eli.
Thank you so much. Hey, it's good to be here.
It's great to have you on our show. Amazing voice, amazing voice. I know I've had this conversation with other trans guys who are also singers. How did you manage to maintain that higher range? I mean, that to me is so impressive. I used to be soprano as a female, and it just, one day I went to try to sing, and it was just like, so I had to retrain myself to sing, and I've got a very raspy voice, which I'm happy with. At least I'm able to sing, which I thought I was going to lose it all. But how? How did you manage to keep that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple things. So I transitioned pretty young. I was 20 when I started testosterone. And I think that's a big part of it. Number one is just my voice was still relatively pliable. But also, I was at a stage in my life where I was in college and I was actually studying singing at Oberlin Conservatory with professors there. And thankfully, I wasn't a full-time voice major, so I got to go through my vocal shift without having my grades be dependent on my voice. But I had the benefit of having really professional training at that time from teachers who had worked with lots of different kinds of singers. And admittedly, my teacher had not worked with any trans students before, but thankfully she was willing to do a lot of research, and we basically just took it day by day. And I went on testosterone really gradually. I started at a low dose and ramped it up from there over time. So also the idea was to just really let my voice change as gradually as possible. And then I really worked on keeping those high notes. There were definitely a couple, probably a year or two when they just weren't there. But I kept trying just to gently expand back up there because, like you, I'd been a soprano previously, and those were notes that I still wanted to have. And over time, I was able to train myself back into it, but it definitely took 2 or 3 years until I was able to both have the low notes as well as gain some of the high back again. And that's actually something I like to work with my students on these days. I'm really into folks using as much of their range as they can.
I think with me, because I transitioned so late in life, I was 39 years old, and it was just very abrupt. And I did the major dose, and I think that's a key. Of Lucas Silveria also talked about taking smaller doses and allowing the body to gradually get used to this new change, and the vocal cords then don't abruptly just go through this major elongation very quickly, which is what creates the issue. But yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
And it makes sense, for social reasons, many folks want to transition as fast as possible.
Yes.
But certainly in terms of my students, if they're trying to keep their voice as pliable as possible and they have the option, I often encourage them to go gradually.
See, and I never knew any of that information, or else I would have done it the right way, because to me, singing was everything. I mean, I sang before I even talked, and it was very hard for me to all of a sudden lose my voice. Thank God I learned how to make lemonade out of lemons, and I've kind of taught myself, and people are pretty impressed with my voice and what I've created thus far. But
totally,
definitely.
Yeah, I think you have a great voice.
Thank you. So growing up in Virginia, and how is the LGBT community there?
Well, I mean, it's definitely present just like everywhere. I was lucky in that my family is on the liberal, progressive side of things. So I did grow up knowing some queer folks. My parents had some friends who were lesbians, and I had a couple teachers in high school who were queer, but it was definitely not something that they were out about broadly. Those of us who were in the Gay Straight Alliance that we started when I was in high school, we kind of knew what was what. But at the time that I was in high school, for instance, they tried to pass a bill in the Virginia legislature that would not allow, I forget what they framed it, but basically any like sexuality related clubs, intentionally to try to get rid of gay straight alliances. So, definitely in the legal climate and the political climate where I grew up, there was not a lot of support, but there's queer folks everywhere and there's trans folks everywhere. The first trans person I actually knew was my high school best friend, and I knew pretty much from 9th grade that he was trans, and he was out about it in my school. So it was really cool actually to have somebody who was something of a role model to me before I even knew that was something that was possible.
That's amazing. It's always nice to have that role model.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of us really didn't have that, and especially back in the day in 2003. There was very few people. There was Jameson Green. I think there was another Jameson Knight who had a website. But nowadays, it's just amazing. You Google and you go on YouTube, and it's just, and there's a lot more open-mindedness about it. And the community is growing, and even in places that normally wouldn't have been.
And I think I think that a lot has changed too with the dose scene and everything like that to help a more feasible transition. As back in the day, it was all kind of an experiment.
Yeah,
and
guinea pigs.
Yeah, I think we kind of have on both FTM and MTF sides. I think we have with all the things that have, with the progression of medicine that, and them finally knowing what to do. I think that it has helped for more, I guess, better results, I guess you could say, at a faster pace.
Yeah, it's like no one really knew what they were doing at first, not even the doctors. And I still think they lack a lot of knowledge.
Well, they still do.
I think we're still pretty much, Talking about dose, have you increased your dose now that your voice is stable? Or are you still in low doses? If you don't mind sharing that?
I'll talk about it a little bit. I won't give specific medical history stuff, but yeah, I think when I started, I guess it was 2001. Or wait, no, that's not true. What year is it now? It's 2014. So I guess I started in 2006. I'm trying to do math in my head. So I started testosterone in 2006 when I was 20, like I said. And I think I probably started at something like 20 milligrams a week or something like that, or maybe every 2 weeks. And yeah, I did increase it gradually over time for about the first year. And I actually got to a level that was higher than what I needed ultimately. And so I've dialed back from there. I'm not somebody who feels like I need to be at the maximum dose. I just want to be somewhere that feels comfortable for my body. And once my voice stabilized, I pretty much stuck with that.
That's awesome. And for health reasons, I think when I started at 200, which was way too high. And yeah, I saw great changes. Everything happened very quickly. But, there are ramifications to that. And long term, your blood pressure goes up. There's a lot of medical issues that take place.
Definitely.
Right. Right. Yeah, I have
So,
a friend who, like you guys were saying, it's kind of like we're all still science experiments, but at least they're learning a little more about the science as we go.
Right.
yeah, it's getting a little better. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Eli, when did you learn that you were given the gift to write songs and perform?
Um, I've been performing since I was really young. When I was maybe 8 years old, I did a play. I did Annie in the community theater and was like a little orphan girl. And I think that just really, the bug bit me early in terms of performing. But I trained as a singer and did musical theater, but it wasn't until I was in really high school that I started getting interested in songwriting. And I guess actually in 8th grade, I remember we had an assignment in my music class to write a country song because I spent 1 year in private school and we had this really amazing music teacher who was actually the clarinetist for the Richmond Symphony, where I grew up in Virginia. And I remember coming in, and I was the only person who actually took the assignment seriously because I actually liked country music and was interested in writing songs, and everybody else was just kind of, making fun of it. And I was really embarrassed that I'd actually come in and written a serious song. But I think that was the first moment when I realized, this is something that I could do. And I'm lucky that I also grew up in a family where we listened to a lot of singer-songwriters. So that was always something I kind of knew was a possibility, but I didn't actually take it seriously for myself to write music until somebody gave me that assignment.
It's funny, you wrote at 8. My first song was written at 10. I learned 2 chords in the guitar, got home and wrote my first song at 10 years old. So
hey, that's all you need. That's great.
That's it. Yeah, definitely. So talk to us a little bit about your style of music.
Sure. That's always such a hard question. What I often describe it is I say it's Americana. So kind of drawing on a lot of the roots music from the US. So certainly like folk and country music, as well as blues and jazz. And people don't always include those in Americana, but those are definitely big influences on me. And I also sometimes call it indie folk. It kind of walks that line between sort of more traditional singer-songwriter stuff that people think of from the 60s and 70s, but I'm also definitely influenced by indie rock, by R&B, especially in my vocals. I'd say that like Al Green, Sam Cooke, and Aretha Franklin are big influences on me in terms of how I sing, even though what I do is kind of mostly in the country folk vein in terms of the melodies and the structures of the songs that I write on the guitar.
You have a song called Pinocchio, and I had written a song way back in the day called So Real to Me, which I compare us FTMs to Pinocchio. It's called So Real to Me.
Yeah.
So I was interested when I was looking through your YouTube videos and I saw you have a song, and that's called Pinocchio. So I guess you also related the fact that we're like Pinocchio who wanted to be a real boy, and so that was interesting, I thought.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I actually wrote that song as part of a project when I was in school, in college, to kind of ask questions about this idea of realness and gender, because I really felt like there's this sort of pressure on trans communities that we have to prove that we really are who we say we are. But I actually didn't find that was that resonant or useful to me. So I wrote that song in part to be like, you don't have to have surgery or hormones. You don't have to do anything to be who you say you are. You're a real boy if that's what you say about yourself.
Exactly. That's why I called it So Real to Me. It's like Pichetto was telling Pinocchio, you're real to me. It doesn't matter what, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So when did you first learn that you were transgender, and how did your loved ones deal with the news?
Yeah. Like so many of us, it was a really gradual process for me. I'm definitely not one of those people who grew up always knowing that I identified as male. When I was in high school, like I said, I had the best friend who was a trans guy. And I actually really didn't see myself as a man at that time, in part because he was so clear from such a young age in his identity. And I just thought, that wasn't the way that I was. But probably around 16 or 17, I started realizing that I wasn't female in whatever that meant. And there was some information online at that time that talked about this idea of an androgyne, somebody who's psychologically androgynous. So for a while, I identified with that. And then I kind of came across the more politicized term genderqueer. And for a couple of years, identified as genderqueer and did change my name, but went by gender neutral pronouns Z and here. And when I started college, that was the identity space I was in. And over the course of a couple years, started realizing that I did actually want to go by more he, him pronouns, and was starting to think about transition. But for me, those things weren't necessarily, they didn't have to come together. I could go by he and him even if I didn't take testosterone. Maybe I could have top surgery even if I was genderqueer. It wasn't just like a clear switch. So probably over the course of a couple years is when slowly all those things started to come together. I felt like I was identifying as male more. I was taking testosterone. I did eventually opt for surgery, and I did end up on the male side of the fence. But, from starting out identifying as not female at 16 to coming to a more transgender identity at like 18, 19 to coming to an identity as male, probably 21, 22. It was a course of years, definitely.
It's interesting. And the whole concept of gender queer is great to me because I believe that we're two-spirited. I believe we just can't eliminate one side of us and say, okay, I'm killing this side. It's like telling the moon you're not going to come out anymore. It's only going to be the sun. There's two sides to us, and I believe we all have that. Some people suppress it more than others. And I believe when you become okay with those two sides, that's when you're able to grow spiritually. Because I believe that's what we're here to do. Mm-hmm. And, when I first came out, when I first transitioned, it was all about, I want to be man, blah, blah. And then as I evolved and grew, then I kind of realized, okay, I just can't kill my female side. That's a part of me that was with me for 38 years. How can I just snip? Okay, you're gone. Heck with you. So I very much identify with the genderqueer aspect of it. And I think it's an amazing identity.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the biggest things, that, we kind of go through is that we want so much to fit into this other box. My whole life I lived in the mailbox. Okay, that didn't sound right. But
a mailbox.
Now I'm living in the female box, so I went from one box to another essentially. But, now that I've evolved more, it's like, as long as I'm comfortable with who I am, I don't care how other people see me. Exactly. And I think that, some people, they may look at me and they may say, wow, that's a dude in a dress. And then other people may look at me and see me as, wow, she's a hot biker chick, or, whatever the case is. So however anybody else perceives me doesn't change my perception of myself. So it doesn't bother me and it doesn't offend me. So. And
how do you feel about yourself now, Eli? Do you still strongly just identify as male, or you're still identify as genderqueer?
Yeah, I don't identify as genderqueer anymore, but I definitely have a lot of friends who do, and that's definitely one of many gender identities that I support. And it's interesting, right? Because I came through a genderqueer identity and now identify as male and certainly as trans, but when I talk about my gender, mostly I just talk about myself as a man. And the fact that I am transgender is not something I'm trying to hide. It's also, at this point in my life, not one of the most salient aspects of my identity, but it's certainly something that is true and is a part of me. And, I think when I identified as genderqueer, I didn't identify as both. I kind of identified as a gender separate from male and female. And I think gender is fluid throughout our lives. It's not that I was deluded at that point and then came to my true identity. I think actually, when I was a kid, I probably was a girl. That worked for me for a while. Then for a while, I was genderqueer. And now, as an adult, I'm a man. And I assume that's going to be true for the rest of my life, but you never really know. I can't say how I'm going to feel in 20 years.
That's true. Life's ever changing.
Exactly.
That's the only constant is change.
That's the one other thing that I learned.
Yeah.
Stop looking so far into the future and just live for the now.
Exactly.
So, because if I worry about what's going to happen 30 years from now and I keep focusing on that, I'm never going to enjoy my now.
Yeah.
And because I'm always looking forward, just as when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to be an adult. Looking forward to being an adult, looking forward to being an adult. Then when I got there, I'm like, damn, I wish I was a kid again.
Less responsibilities, that's for sure.
So we got another video clip we want to share. Eli Conley, Draw the Line, at Berkeley CD release show.
We're going to do a song called Draw the Line. All these songs that we're playing right now are on the album, should you choose to purchase it tonight. Wish I could write you a letter have for you now that you're free. Feels like spring in February, and I'm not the kind of fairy who makes a move like I can carry the sadness so easily. 'Cause I got all this time, and you are always on my mind. So heaven help me draw the line that you ain't mine. Wish there was some way I could say I never meant it to end this way. You pull the trigger and I sway to me the music. But now it's all been done, whether the battle's lost or the battle's won. It's time to empty out our guns, scrub them till they shine. 'Cause I got all this time, you were always on my mind. So heaven help me draw the line that you ain't mine. Oh, you ain't mine. How long, how long, how long till I get it right? How long, how long, how long till I find the light? How long, how long, how long till I sleep through the night without missing you? 'Cause I got all this time, and you are always on my mind. So heaven help me draw the line that you ain't mine. You ain't mine. You ain't mine. You,
Amazing.
You
How
have
many
an
guitars?
awesome range.
Yeah, he does. How many guitars do you own, by the way, Eli? Look at-
One. I wish I had
Just
more.
one?
But just that one.
Just that one. That's an awesome guitar.
It's got a nice sound to it.
Yeah,
too.
it does. I've got a Ovation, but the thing with the Ovation is just it's very awkward when you're performing and playing because it's such a big body, but it has a beautiful sound, and so
It's got like that
Curved, yeah, it's what-
plastic or nylon body.
yeah, it's
still.
what Melissa Etheridge uses, and I'm a big fan of Melissa Etheridge. So
I remember when I tried to play it standing up, it's like, whoop, it
Yeah,
wants
I
to
know.
go slide down.
I know. I know. We kind of talked about this a little while ago, the voice and the change in your voice, and what kind of techniques, and without giving a lot away, do you use? I know there's like one of the things that I saw as I was retraining my voice, the ga 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 ga, or the brrr, all this crazy stuff that they make you do. What kind of stuff do you do to actually help increase that falsetto range?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of what you just did. Actually, where you can see me today, I'm actually in my voice teaching studio where I see students. I've got a piano behind me. And it's a lot of that kind of stuff is exercises where you just move slowly up by what's called a half step, which is the smallest interval in music, right? So I've certainly done a fair amount of like rolling your R. You can do it with a burble lip. And transitioning up into your falsetto range, it can be helpful to start kind of at the top of what's called your chest voice, your speaking range. So like for me, maybe like, kind of there. I'm shifting up into my falsetto. But trying to do it smoothly with that burble lip, which gets my breath support going, right? So it's all kind of the tricks of the trade. And also things with like short staccato notes can help you make those leaps so you're not having a yodel sound in the middle. Like if you're going, and the break sticks out, you can do something shorter like, ba 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 ba, where you have a break in between the notes, so it gives you a chance to actually adjust your voice as you traverse that leap. Those are big things that I use personally and also with my students, encourage them to work on. But I mean, the main thing is do what's good for your voice and push it just a little bit past the comfort zone. Don't push it to the extremes because that's when you can hurt yourself. But just slowly, step by step, trying to expand your range day by day is the way to do it.
And that's how I was able to start singing again. I started doing that whole exercise, and I find I have a lot of power. It's just retraining that voice to try to go on the But if I go,
there you go.
I've developed a very low range, and I try to use that, and then I have the little raspiness, like, listen, children, to a story. But that really creates a lot of, like, I don't know, it almost like I feel like it's forced. So I've got to learn how to bring more air, and that's what I'm trying to work with to change things around a little bit.
Yeah, and often, when folks are having issues with raspiness, it's actually less about air and more about constriction in our throat and in our face. So if you can train yourself to kind of think of having a yawn in your throat, look kind of silly when I do it, but like that feeling of creating open space through here and thinking about having a lift in the back of your throat, that will often help with raspiness. So here's your own private voice lesson for today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All sounds like a different language to me.
It's all, because I'm trying to help her because I want her to do some backup, because right now, like on our recordings, I harmonize with myself, but if we're on stage, I can't harmonize with myself. So I'm trying to teach her to try to use her diaphragm a little bit more and just,
Isn't diaphragm like a contraceptive?
No.
Oh, wait.
Dummy, that's your breathing.
Okay, sorry. I got them confused.
But, it's, to me, singing is everything. I mean, I love it.
I'll stick to playing guitar because I'll scare everybody away with my singing.
Just that dual voice, like when you had your backup singer there, it just makes it so much nicer when you have two. Like when I harmonize with myself in the recording, it just gives it such flavor. It's just better than just one voice. But
yeah, I wish I could sing with myself all the time. I do it on my album, like you. There's harmonies on there, but I really think it's also, it takes a while to find somebody who's a good fit with you as a harmony singer, right? Because there's so many different kinds of voices, but finding two voices that fit well together. My friend Caitlin, who was singing in that video, sings in choirs and sings in an Eastern European women's ensemble, and it's really fun singing with her because she's very much trained in blending her voice with other singers. So even though most of what she does is more in the choral setting, she really knows how to fit a harmony in ways that I wouldn't come up with on my own, which is really fun.
It's nice.
See, which is wild. That's where I'm good at the guitar. I'm good at harmonizing with another guitar, and it's kind of like the same thing, but I can't do the voice. It's like
I heard there's a machine that you could actually, I guess, record your harmony and then play it as you're performing live, which I want to look into because again, it gives it such flavor. So it's an amazing thing.
Like a looper, I think people use for that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're going to take a quick break here to thank another one of our sponsors. So we'll be right back. Dr. Varden Madirosian is a facial feminization surgeon in Jupiter, Florida. He did a fellowship in facial plastic and reconstructive surgery with one of the fathers of facial feminization surgery. He has also completed an extensive training in FFS for the past 6 years, working in close contact with his mentor. Dr. Maderosian performs surgeries in his office in a fully licensed operating room or in the local hospital with highly trained and reliable staff. Give him a call today at 561-624-0900. That's 561-624-0900. Dr. Maderosian is highly qualified and understand our needs. And we're back.
We're back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
So what has been the most amazing event in your life and why?
Wow, that's a big question. I'd say recently, actually, it was probably that night of that show that the video we just watched was from my CD release, because it was my birthday. It was my star birthday, so I was 28 on September 28th. And I had the privilege of having my family in town, both my parents and my sister, for that show. And they live in Virginia, and my sister's in Baltimore, so I don't get to see them that often. And in particular, they haven't gotten to see me perform as an adult. You know, obviously watch me a lot as a kid, but doing what I do now. And while I'm not super close with my family, it definitely is something that is important to me to have them there. And so that was a really incredible moment. It was a pretty packed house at a local venue here in Berkeley, where I also teach singing classes for queer and transgender people and allies. And it's like a social justice arts space. And it just really felt like such an honor to have this lifelong goal of putting out a studio full-length album coming together with getting to have my family there, a lot of my friends, and in a community space that I feel really connected to. It felt like a pretty cool moment for my birthday.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. So many people fail to understand the difference between gender identity and sexuality. Can you explain what the difference are in your perspective?
I mean, I'm sure if you ask each of the three of us, we'd have a different answer, right? But
Right.
my general understanding for myself is basically gender identity is your own internal sense of what your personal gender is. Doesn't have to have anything to do with anybody else. And often it has to do with how you feel best in your body, the pronouns you want to be called, how you want other people to see you, but mostly it's just about how you view yourself, and you make choices from that. If it is different from your assigned gender, if you want to shift things in your life to have other folks see you that way, but that's just your own personal sense of your gender. Whereas your sexual orientation is about the gender of the people that you are attracted to, or genders. And because in our society we frame sexual orientation as being about both the person's gender and the gender of the people they're attracted to, folks, you know, who don't have familiarity with trans folks and genderqueer folks can often get confused by that, right? But so for me personally, I identify as male. I'm attracted primarily to men, so I call myself a gay man. I'm sometimes attracted to folks outside of male identities, but, you know, on average, probably 90% of the time, I'm mostly attracted to other men. So that's why I call myself gay instead of maybe bisexual or pansexual. But, you know, ultimately, it's all queer to me.
Right. And it's funny because a lot of people can't grasp that. You know, it's like, I'm attracted to men, very much so, and attracted to trans women because it's, you know, in that spectrum. A lot of people are like, well, what did you do? All that you went through, you know, got all these surgeries, did all that you did to be with men. Why didn't you stay as a female? And they don't get it. They don't quite understand the fact that it has absolutely nothing to do with who I want to go to bed with. It's how I identify, how I feel comfortable. When I look at myself in the mirror, I was a very beautiful female before, but I didn't feel comfortable in that get up or in that costume. I look in the mirror now and I see the hairy chest and I see the beard and my muscles, and that's like, that feels good. That feels in alignment with me. I still have a lot of female traits in me. I'm very OCD. I love to have everything clean. You know, I'm just very soft in nature, but at the same time, I could also be very rough and tough. So it's one of those things that, as much as society wants to put everything in a box, we're very complex as humans. And, you know, who we want to go to bed with, how we identify, it's one of those things that you can't just pinpoint.
Well, it's one of those things that, you know, like with Mark and I, either way, we're heterosexual, so we break the sexual orientation stereotype or whatever, but we're actually pansexual.
Yeah.
You know, in relation to our sexual orientation, because it's kind of like we're the best and worst of both worlds.
Exactly. It's like we have a foursome when we're too much information, I know, but because it's like the female in me loves the male in her, and the male in me loves the female in her, and it's like I get the best of both worlds within the same.
And both like the breast, and
yeah, it's
both
like,
of me like the hairy chest.
Yeah, it's like all this like
just
complicated
confusing.
things, but it's all good.
But it's a lot of fun. Okay, now he's blushing.
Now he's blushing.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's blushing.
Oh, I'm blushing. Yeah, I'm like I turn red.
No, he's not blushing. You're
I'm
blushing.
blushing. Okay. Just look like
I'm
he's
fine
got a
over here.
suntan.
I'm in the Bay Area. You can't shock me.
Not anymore. I don't think there's much that can shock any of us here today.
Yeah.
I think we'll be good.
So let me ask you, what inspires you to write, and what are your techniques?
Well, I'd say I write most often when I'm having some strong emotion. So whether it can be a negative emotion, I'm angry, I'm sad, and I frame those as negative, but there are things we have to all go through. I've also been writing a lot of love songs in the past couple of years because I'm in a really great relationship, and I have a lot of love for my partner, and so it feels fun that's been a big part of what's been coming out of me over the past couple of years. Just the other day, I was inspired. I feel like I've been trying to figure out recently, okay, I'm in a solid relationship, so I'm not going to be writing about, my torn apart heart or whatever, which has often been the inspiration in the past. So I've been trying to write more songs about my relationship with friends, actually. So a number of the songs I've been writing recently have been either when friends are in hard situations, songs about empathy for my friend, or advice or anger or whatever it is. We certainly have multiple kinds of relationships in our lives, and I think there's a lot to mine in what comes up for me in my friend relationships. And also sometimes I just make up completely fictional stories in my songs. Like the very first song on my album, At the Seams, is called When God Sets His Sights on You. And it's about a young woman who's queer in the South and comes out to her mom. And her mom is conservative Christian and a single mom. And they have some hard moments around that. And ultimately, before the mom has a chance to come around, the daughter runs away. And it's not supposed to be just a straightforward, mom is homophobic, that's bad story. But it's supposed to be more complex, saying like, the daughter didn't actually give the mom enough time to adjust before she just decided to leave. And that was a story that came to me after watching a documentary, two documentaries actually, one called Mississippi I Am, about queer young people organizing in Mississippi, and one, I forget what it's called, it might be Whistling Dixie, about queer bands in the South. And as somebody who is originally from the South, I draw a lot of my inspiration from there and from themes of folks in the South, even though it's not where I live today.
It's interesting because I feel the same way. When I write, I have to have a strong emotion about something, or I tap into my writing muse, whatever it's called. And it's like, it's almost like it flows right through me. And I'm like, we're in the middle of, like, she'll usually write the music and, we'll fiddle with it. And then all of a sudden, as I'm hearing the flow of the music, I start typing the stuff and it just comes right through. And then the words, yeah. And but it's always got some, but it always has some strong meaning about something, because, singing, and I do have love songs, but I like to do songs that have impact on people, that people listen to it and they go, wow, it touches them somehow, some way. That's, that's the way that's my technique anyway. But interesting that a lot of writers, because I ask this question to a lot of the musicians as well, because I like to know where they get their inspiration, and it's always very interesting to answer. So definitely.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just putting yourself in a room and saying like, okay, I have 3 hours, I'm gonna write today. And maybe what comes up is bad and maybe it's good, but for me, I try to have discipline about it as well. So it's not only when I have inspiration, but sometimes it's just, I'm going to sit here until I come up with something, and it doesn't have to be good, but it just has to be a song.
Right. Exactly. Like sometimes I'll be sitting there doing something out of the blue, and then all of a sudden I'll hear something in my head, and it'll be like, wow, let me see if I can replicate that. And then I put it on the guitar, and it's like, wow, that sounds pretty cool. Or, wow, it sounds like crap. And then.
But even I'm a believer, like when something is not whatever, I always tell her, we'll polish it, we'll make it better. We've had like our, what was it, Forgotten. You didn't like it at first. I said, wait, this is going to be a really good one. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's, you polish it.
Let's try it this way. Let's try it that way.
I love
this.
it. I mean,
Let's
to
do
me,
that.
creating is such an amazing thing. I think that's when our spirit is happiest. And it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. So we got
and I agree
another
with
video.
what you said. Sometimes what you have that's a mistake actually turns out to be the best thing. You just have to frame it a little bit differently.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I'm learning that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. She goes, oh, like it. I'm like, wait. It's. I feel it. It's going to be something good, and sure enough,
and it comes out sounding pretty good. So here's a video of you doing a cover, Little Red Corvette.
I'm back, and I'm gonna do a song called Little Red Corvette. It's Prince's song, and it was suggested by Sharif Ali, who's another great singer-songwriter you should check out. And a number of other folks on Facebook said they wanted to hear me do this song, so I'm happy to oblige. Here we go. I guess I should have known by the way you parked your car sideways that it wouldn't last. You're the kind of person believes in making out once, but love 'em and leave 'em fast. I guess I must be dumb, 'cause you had a pocket full of horses, Trojans, some of them used. But it was Saturday night, I guess that makes it alright. You say, what have I got to lose? Honey, I say, little red Corvette. Baby, you're much too fast. Little red Corvette, oh, you need to find love that's gonna last, yeah. Guess I should have closed my eyes when you drove me to the place where your horses run free. But I felt a little ill when I saw all the pictures of the jockeys that have been before me. Little red Corvette, oh, baby, you're much too fast. Darling, little red Corvette, you need to find love that's gonna last, darling. Body like yours ought to be forbidden, 'cause it's on the verge of being obscene. Move over, baby, give me the keys. I'm gonna try to tame your little red love machine. Little red Corvette, oh, baby, you're much too fast, darling. Little red Corvette, need to find love that's gonna last, darling. Little red Corvette, oh, baby, you much too got to slow down, darling. Little red Corvette, oh, 'cause if you don't, you're gonna run into the ground.
That was awesome.
Prince, or now he calls himself a symbol, but yeah.
Yes.
He's one that's got an amazing high-pitched voice. Very, very,
When I first saw him, I was like, wow, that's a girl with a mustache. And then I'm like,
very
no, it's not.
androgynous.
Oh my God.
Very androgynous.
It's a guy, but I was like, wow, he's fucking hot.
To me,
Pardon
that
my French, but I was blown away.
Yeah, that's
he was like amazing.
That's such a hot thing, androgyny. And I believe that's probably somewhere down the line where the evolution of our species is heading. I think we started that way back in native times. We kind of got ourselves into a box. And I think the pendulum is shifting again. And, it's interesting. Although I would never wear a dress again. I'm not into makeup. I just...
So explain to me why my panties are
get out of here. I don't like panties. I got my boxers. I've never I don't want to say I've never. In the beginning, I did. I just don't. I don't see myself as a man. I see myself as a trans man, trans person, and a spirit. And spirit is genderless. A spirit has both energy, and that's where I feel the most comfortable in that realm. And although I'm a man's man and whatever else, and you look at me and people are like, "What are you talking about?" But it's that energy. I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think there's human words to express that. It's okay if I want to be sensitive. It's okay if I want to clean. It's okay if I don't want to be all tough and rough and whatever.
Since when is that okay?
Oh, shut up. That's been okay. Anyway, what do you hope to accomplish with your music, Eli?
Lots of things. I mean, the number one thing is probably just to connect with people. It really makes such a difference to me when people tell me that my music means something to them. Excuse me. Like a friend of my family actually is a Appalachian Studies professor in Virginia, and I have a song on my album Dry as Sin that's about the coal mining industry and the mountaintop removal mining industry, and also how they're building a lot of prisons in Appalachia these days, and how those two things actually really support each other and support racism in Appalachia being something that continues. And this professor and friend of the family said he was incredibly moved by the song, and I know was playing it on his radio show as one of his favorite songs from the past year. And those are the moments that really mean a lot to me, when somebody who's connected to the kind of stories that I'm writing about tells me that it means something to them. And, in the long term, I want to be a nationally touring artist. I'd certainly love to be somebody who gets to play some of the bigger name folk clubs in the U.S. I'm going to be doing an East Coast tour in April as part of that, and I was touring the Pacific Northwest earlier this year in the fall. So really, I just want to get out there and put my music out there more and more and connect with folks all around who hopefully will enjoy it.
Definitely. It sounds like a dream. That's something that we like to do in the future, although we're pretty new at this still. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, but I've never really toured a lot. I did a lot of local stuff. Ultimately, when you're a musician, you want to get yourself out there. You want to do things to get your message heard, because music is a message. You're reaching out to people's heart and just connecting with the human race. And what better way to live your life than by doing that?
Well, I also think that music is a big driving factor and inspiration to a lot of people in them achieving their goals. Sometimes... A lot of times, there's something you're feeling down. You hear a song come on the radio and it lifts you up. Or, you hear a song from somebody and it's just so powerful that it actually moves you. And it's like, wow, it takes you out of that funk. And I think, that's what's so great about being able to do that. Yeah. The talent that you have, Eli, is amazing. Yes. Talent that Mark has for writing is incredible as well. And I just, it's like, wow, and a lot of the artists out there,
it's medicine to me. It's the best therapy.
Powerful behind the words.
Yeah, talk about healing until ever. You tap in frequency. I mean, music has frequency, and our cells respond to frequency, and it's something that can be used for the well-being of humankind. Totally,
exactly. So let me ask you, where can our viewers catch a live performance?
Well, so if they're in the Bay Area, I've got a couple shows in February, including a house show right here at my house. So if you're interested in coming to that, you can check out my website, which is Eli Conley, ELICONLEY.com. I've also got shows, like I said, on the East Coast coming up. So I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Boston area, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, also in Floyd and Danville and Richmond, Virginia, and Baltimore. So kind of all over the eastern seaboard, mid-Atlantic, and New England. And I'm still adding shows as we speak. I'm working on booking more. So if you'd like me to come to your town and you're on the East Coast, please get in touch with me. And if you're not in one of those places, you can get in touch with me too, because I'd love to come tour in your area.
Well, hopefully our paths will meet, and now that we have our RV and we plan to just let the wind take us, I would love to be able to share a stage with you. And
absolutely,
that to me, there's nothing more powerful than musicians getting together and creating something for the well-being of humankind, and just just meshing those talents together. It's
Absolutely.
an amazing thing.
Definitely keep in touch with us because when we're on the road, once we get out on starting March 1st, we may stay in Florida, North Florida, for a couple months till
the cold weather
dies. Then we'll head out up the East Coast, then over going west. So
Southwest, New Mexico, Arizona, California. I mean, those are the places that I resonate with.
Yeah, and we definitely want to meet you, Eli. So that would be awesome.
Definitely.
Come to see one of your
I'd love to
shows.
see you in person. I wish you so much fun on your travels. It sounds like it's going to be an amazing journey.
Yes.
Well, we'll see if we make it to the first couple of months without killing each other.
That's a pretty big RV. It's a 35.
It's not about the space. It's about just the whole.
Funny thing is because there's a lot of even though she's a female now, there's still a lot of male dominating factors in her. And then it's like we sit there at times and it's like we've had to learn how to give and take. And it's difficult. And it's like learning how to, yes, I have to give way and know that this person's had more male experience than I've had in my life. So I have to back down and let her experience in that male genre take over. And it's a growing thing. And I'm looking forward to this journey to grow as a spiritual being.
Yes, because if I let you fix anything in the RV, it
all break. Anyway, thank you so much, Eli, for being on our show. We've enjoyed the time immensely.
Absolutely.
We honor you. And
Me
good
too.
luck in everything you do.
Thank you.
And we've had a lot of fun. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eli.
Yeah,
and we'll see you soon. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you in our travels. Definitely.
Yes. And we will be right back with In the Trans News.
In the transition video on the week.
When we return, stay tuned.
In the trans news, trans woman dares Bible quoting councilman to stone her to death. A city council member in Shreveport, Louisiana, has abandoned his effort to repeal an LGBT inclusive anti-discrimination ordinance following an outcry from the public, including a transgender woman who dared him to stone her to death. You heard that right. The council passed the ordinance in December by a vote of 6-1, following a successful campaign by a pro-LGBT coalition known as Be Fair Shreveport.
The ordinance, which bans discrimination in housing and employment within city limits on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity, received its lone no vote for Councilman Ron Webb. During the council's debate last December, Webb voiced his opposition, saying, "The Bible tells you homosexuals are an abomination," adding that he does not socialize with LGBT people, according to TV station KSLA.
10 days after the council approved the ordinance, Webb drafted a proposal designed to repeal the non-discrimination policy. On Tuesday, dozens of people registered to testify as the city council meeting ready to speak out against Webb measures, reports Lone Star Q. But none were quite as bold as Pamela Braintree, a transgender woman. Braintree called out the Bible-quoting councilman, daring him to stone her to death.
Leviticus 20:13 states, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, they shall surely put him to death." Braintree began, "I brought the first stone, Mr. Webb, in case that your Bible talk isn't just a smokescreen for personal prejudices." Webb withdrew his repeal measure just minutes later without calling for a vote. Yep.
The fairness ordinance, but they never got the chance. That's because Councilman Ron Webb changed his mind about his proposed ordinance. In December, the council voted to end discrimination based on sexual identity of preference. 10 days later, Webb introduced an ordinance to negate the council's vote. Now, Webb heard pleas from people in favor of fairness, but it wasn't until a transsexual woman quoted the Bible that he dropped his proposal.
Leviticus 20:13 states, "If a man also lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, they shall surely put him to death." I brought the first stone, Mr. Webb, in case that your Bible talk isn't just a smokescreen for personal prejudices.
Webb's decision to pull the proposal means that the fairness ordinance continues to be in effect, and that means that in Shreveport, people can't be fired or denied housing simply because they are gay or transgender.
You go, girl.
Yeah, this Leviticus reading Bible stuff, we would all be doomed. Every single person that walks this planet, because how many people eat shrimp? How many people slander and gossip?
Matter.
How many people wear different fabrics? It's like if we follow Leviticus, we might as well just shoot ourselves and say, okay, we're going to hell. Okay, it's crazy. It's like insane that this day and age, it's 2014, and people are still following some book that may have some truth in it mixed with a lot of lies, and they're leading their lives based on this. Look, people, the only message God has for us is love unconditionally. That's it.
And you shall receive the kingdom of heaven, which
Yeah,
lies
it's
within you.
So come on, let's get over this. I mean, we're waiting for Jesus to come back. We're waiting for this thing. We're like killing each other and at war at Afghanistan, all this stuff. Let's stop the madness. Really. Let's just peace, love, and happiness, Come on, really. It's crazy.
Wow, I just felt like a drawback from the 70s.
Well, no,
my
60s.
God.
It's the 60s.
No, the 70s was the hippie era.
No, it's 60s, honey.
70s.
60s.
70s.
Folks, tell her it's the 60s. She's all
It's
young.
the 70s.
It's the
60s.
60s.
There you go.
Oh, okay, no fair. This is like sexism at its best.
No, but
Both of
and you know what
should.
kills me is like she could be wrong, and she argues with me. I mean, this is what I go through. And
I'm sorry. When was Woodstock?
60s.
Was it?
Yes.
What was the date for Woodstock, Joe?
60s.
1960s.
Oh, damn it. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever.
60s.
Whatever. I could have swore it was.
But she'll argue with me, and then I'm the bad guy, and anyway. All right, enough of this. Wait till dawn to see the day. Wait to dusk to see the night. Find your purpose here in life. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't blend in with others. That is not our mission here or the way to survive.
So shine your light. Show your pride. And now for the transition video of the week with Rachel Cash.
Gotta move out from
To me, it never felt so amazes me, all these transition and how it's almost like a creation that is being made before your very eyes. Guys, please send us your transition video to transitionradioshow@gmail.com. Again, that's transitionradioshow@gmail.com.
Yes.
We want to thank Eli for being on the show. Yes. Amazing guest, very talented. Next week on the radio show on Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have TJ Phillips, an airline pilot who is in between transition, has something very important to say regarding trying to transition on the job. Also a musician, by the way. And on next Thursday, the 30th, we have Kate Ann. We've had her on the radio show. Now we're going to have her on the TV show. She's an author. She's part of the L in the LGBT alphabet. So definitely looking forward to the great guest next week. Thank you guys so
much.
And
the 70s was actually disco.
Yes, okay, all right. But
whatever.
60s was peace, love, and happiness.
Yes.
Where people try to get in touch with their...
Peace, pot, and microdot.
Oh, whatever, that too. But, you notice how everybody had long hair and everybody was kind of like in the androgynous kind of state. Women didn't shave their armpits.
Well, that was the 80s too.
No, well we've always tried to stem into this realm, and society always pushes us back into the box. We need to break free from the box.
Yes.
We need to listen to our spirit. Enough rambling.
For you MTF, stay out of the mailbox.
That's right.
Sorry.
Whatever. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Gay Life TV, our new network. And, hey, we're going to end the show.
Thank you to our sponsors.
Yeah, sponsors. Definitely without them, it's going to not be possible. And without Joe, it couldn't be possible and all that good stuff. But we want to end this show tonight with one of our... originals for our Transgender Highway series, which is a reality series that we're going to bring to you on our crazy journey, and the theme song is called On the Run.
Yes, and it will be the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's right.
So be prepared.
Exactly. But we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night.
Mwah. I was a little late on that.
That's all right.
Oh well.
Better late than never.
Riding high and riding low, seeing places we've never seen before, trying to find our new home. Here we go, here we go. Where was that? Nobody knows. Here we come, here we go. Walking just along the road. Walking just along the road. Look up and see the sky. Look down and see the ground. Mountain deserts everywhere. Being free to breathe the air. Here we go, here we go.
despair.